The movie starts with a view of a big desert with beautiful rocky mountains. These mountains are great for animals that live in the desert and for hunters. Soon, a helicopter lands, bringing a man named Richard and his girlfriend Jennifer. They are going to Richard's house, which is in the middle of the desert. They want to spend some time together before Richard's hunting trip with his friends. The helicopter pilot gives Richard a gift before leaving. It's a drug called peyote, which can cause strong hallucinations. After they enter the house, Richard sees Jennifer looking very attractive. They spend some romantic time together in the bedroom. Later, Richard gets a phone call from a woman. It's his wife. She and their kids think Richard is only going to the desert for hunting. The call goes smoothly because his wife doesn't know about Jennifer. The next morning, Jennifer, wearing only underwear, goes to the kitchen to get water. Suddenly, she sees Richard's friends, Stan and Dimitri. They arrived early for the hunting trip. Richard looks upset because he didn't want them to know about Jennifer. Since they are already there, Richard lets them stay. Stan seems very interested in Jennifer, staring at her with excitement. That evening, everyone sits by the pool, enjoying the desert view. Dimitri uses binoculars to look around and becomes curious about the drug the pilot gave Richard. Richard explains that the drug is very powerful and can make people hallucinate a lot. He even says someone once took too much and cut off their own leg without feeling pain. To avoid problems, Richard asks Jennifer to put the drug in a safe place. But Jennifer is curious about it too. Instead of hiding it, she puts it in her necklace. Later, Jennifer goes outside and dances to entertain the men. That night, Jennifer becomes the center of attention, dancing like a showgirl while the men watch her with fascination. Stan especially is very excited and even joins her in a sensual dance. The next morning, Jennifer wakes up and has breakfast with Stan, but Richard isn't home. Stan tries to use this chance to get closer to Jennifer. However, Jennifer ignores him and goes back to her room without saying much. Stan doesn't give up and follows her to her room. He asks her, disappointed, why she is avoiding him after she seemed to like him the night before. Jennifer responds that Stan isn't her type, especially because of his short height. Stan feels insulted and angry. Unable to control himself, he forces himself on Jennifer. Jennifer is terrified and can't stop him. Dimitri appears but doesn't say or do anything to help. Instead, he leaves, turns on the TV, and raises the volume to block out Jennifer's screams. A few hours later, Richard comes home and notices that Stan and Dimitri are unusually quiet. Stan tells Richard there was a small problem with Jennifer, but doesn't explain. Richard goes to see Jennifer, and she begs him to call the helicopter so she can leave immediately. Seeing her crying, Richard realizes what happened. He goes out and scolds his friends, but doesn't take any serious action. Later, Richard tries to calm Jennifer down. He says his friends will apologize and offers her a large amount of money to forget what happened. Jennifer becomes very upset and threatens to tell Richard's wife about their affair if the helicopter doesn't come to take her home. Richard gets angry, scaring Jennifer. She runs away from the house in fear. When Richard's friends see Jennifer running, they join him in chasing after her. Jennifer's escape comes to an end when she reaches a cliff with no way forward. Soon, Richard and his friends catch up and trap her near the edge. Richard pretends to feel sorry and promises to call the pilot to take her home. Jennifer calms down, thinking she will finally leave. But suddenly, Richard pushes her off the cliff. She falls and gets impaled on a tree branch. Stan and Dimitri are shocked by Richard's action. They didn't expect him to push Jennifer. Richard explains that letting Jennifer go would be dangerous for them. She could tell the police what happened, and they could go to prison for many years. Richard is also worried that his affair with Jennifer would be exposed to his wife. After the incident, the three men return to the house to get their hunting gear. They plan to come back later to clean up the evidence and pretend nothing happened. Meanwhile, Jennifer is still alive, even though she's badly hurt and stuck on the tree. The branch didn't hit her vital organs, so she's able to survive. She notices her lighter and uses all her strength to grab it. She sets the dry bushes on fire, which breaks the branch and frees her. However, the branch is still stuck in her stomach. As Richard and his friends drive back to the spot, Jennifer hears the sound of their vehicle and quickly hides. Her injury makes it hard to move, but she manages to stay out of sight. When the men arrive and find Jennifer missing, they are surprised. They think she either escaped or someone rescued her. To confirm what happened, the men decide to climb down the cliff, but it's a long way. By the time they reach the spot, it's already dark. Jennifer uses this chance to move further away and avoid being caught. The three men begin to wonder how Jennifer could have disappeared so suddenly. They find a trail of her blood and start following it. However, the trail ends at a lake, leaving them unsure of where to search next. They decide to split up to find her. Stan, scared of running into Jennifer, chooses to stay in the car, hoping she might come back there. Meanwhile, Jennifer, weak from losing so much blood, keeps moving as fast as she can. From a distance, she hears a vehicle approaching. In her panic, she hides underwater, holding her breath as Dmitri passes by on his quad bike. He doesn't see her and rides away. Once the coast is clear, Jennifer makes it to shore and notices Dmitri has left his rifle by his vehicle. Jennifer sees this as her chance. She approaches quietly, but Dmitri, who was ready for her, reveals the rifle is unloaded. He quickly informs his friends and plans to capture Jennifer himself. Before he can act, Jennifer manages to grab the knife from his pocket. She stabs Dmitri, killing him and leaving his body in the lake. Jennifer takes Dmitri's gear and his quad bike to continue her escape. Unfortunately, the bike runs out of gas, forcing her to walk again with a tree branch still stuck in her stomach. She soon finds a cave and decides to rest for a while, though she is in extreme pain. Looking at her necklace, Jennifer remembers the narcotics she hid earlier. Desperate for relief, she eats the drug despite its terrible taste. Soon, the hallucinogenic effects begin to take hold. Jennifer hears strange voices and experiences vivid hallucinations. In this altered state, she starts to treat her wound. The drug dulls her pain, giving her the courage to perform an excruciating procedure on herself to deal with her injury. Jennifer calmly cuts her abdomen with a knife to remove the branch stuck in her stomach. She doesn't show any pain because of the drug's effects. After removing the branch, she heats a tin can and presses it against her wound to stop the bleeding. The next morning, the scene shifts to Stan, who is still sleeping in the Jeep. Richard throws a dead animal near him, frustrated because he couldn't find Jennifer and only managed to hunt some game. At this point, neither of them knows that Dmitri is dead. When Stan wakes up, he goes to the lake to wash his face. Suddenly, he is shocked to see Dmitri's dead body floating in the water. Unlike Richard, Stan stays calm but assumes Jennifer killed their friend. The two men decide to throw Dmitri's body back into the lake to hide the evidence. Richard gets angry at Stan for not going with Dmitri earlier and blames him for what happened. The two leave the area, thinking of new ways to find Jennifer. Meanwhile, Jennifer wakes up in the cave. She notices a bird symbol burned into her stomach from the beer can she used to treat her wound. With her rifle in hand, she decides it's time to stop running and fight back. Jennifer, who was once weak and scared, is now strong and determined. She wants revenge. Jennifer starts searching for Richard and Stan in the desert. On the other side, Richard and Stan find the quad bike Jennifer had used. They decide to split up to search for her. Richard leaves first, while Stan stays behind. Stan checks his injured nose using a mirror, but he doesn't realize the mirror's reflection helps Jennifer locate him. Jennifer doesn't waste any time and begins following Stan, even though she is barefoot and still injured. Stan drives around the desert, but his car soon runs low on fuel. Jennifer takes this chance to aim her rifle at him using an 8x scope. Since Jennifer has no shooting experience, she tries to aim at Stan's vital spots but only manages to hit his shoulder. Stan screams in pain, but when Jennifer gets closer, he is no longer there. She follows the trail of his blood to track him. Meanwhile, Stan tries to stop the bleeding by using a sock as a bandage. Jennifer eventually loses the trail when she reaches a spot where she only finds Stan's shoe. Stan, now hiding, loads his weapon and tries to shoot Jennifer from behind. However, because of his shoulder injury, his aim is poor. The shot misses her vital spots and grazes her ear, causing her to bleed. Jennifer runs while Stan keeps firing at her. Using shards of torchlight glass, she manages to injure Stan's feet. He struggles to pull the glass out, and unable to run, he returns to his car to chase Jennifer. His injured leg makes it hard to press the accelerator, but his anger keeps him going. Eventually, Jennifer manages to kill Stan, the man who had raped her. Afterwards, she hears Richard's voice on Stan's walkie-talkie. Hearing the voice of the man who betrayed her fuels her hatred even more. Meanwhile, Richard is frustrated. He hasn't been able to find Jennifer, and Stan hasn't shown up or responded to the walkie-talkie. Annoyed and tired, Richard decides to return to the house. When Richard gets home, he looks very stressed. He believes that Stan must have been killed by Jennifer and decides to leave the desert. He calls the helicopter pilot to come and pick him up. Before leaving, Richard takes a shower to clean himself up. While getting ready, Richard hears a strange noise. Even though he is completely naked, he checks the house carefully. He suspects that Jennifer might be there to kill him, but he finds nothing unusual inside or outside. Suddenly, the sound of the TV startles him, and his worst fear comes true. Jennifer has arrived and is pointing a shotgun at him. Jennifer shoots Richard in the stomach, and they begin a fierce gunfight. Wounded but determined, Richard tries to walk away while Jennifer continues to chase him. When she enters a room, Richard is hiding, ready to shoot her. Luckily, Jennifer notices the blood trail from Richard's stomach and avoids the trap by taking another route. Richard, now weaker from losing so much blood, uses a food wrapper to try and stop the bleeding. Jennifer eventually finds him, and a chase begins between the two of them. As Jennifer runs, she slips on a pool of blood, giving Richard a chance to attack. Jennifer, already weak, struggles to defend herself. In a final act of desperation, Jennifer targets Richard's stomach wound, causing him immense pain. She grabs her rifle and fires the final shot, killing Richard. At last, Jennifer gets her revenge on the three men who abused her and tried to kill her. Covered in blood, she walks outside, relieved that it's all over. She turns around when she hears the sound of a helicopter approaching.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.